It is 5:10 in Dubai. I think in Atlanta, I think 8:10. Yeah, so we'll start our second session today. So today's learning topic is desires and that associated karmic traps, and what are the spiritual methods to save ourselves from these traps. So first, to understand the desires, that how it comes. So basically, our ego controls us by injecting thoughts in our mind. That's how the ego is mind, body, intellect package. So our thought mind is, that is through our thought mind, our ego controls us. It injects some thoughts. These thoughts then give rise to some kind of our action or emotion. So that's how the ego is basically governing us. Now, what happens is that if something is, ego wants to satisfy itself with many things. It wants maybe certain kind of food or certain kind of items to be purchased. It has to have certain kind of amenities in a home, or it has to have a certain kind of lifestyle, and all these, or some social recognition, some power and prestige, and all these are governed by our ego. Or or it can be also in the realm of relationship. You like to experiments with your relationships and things like that. All these are coming from our ego mind. Ego always wants to satisfy itself and want to win. That is the characteristics of the ego. Ego never accepts as it is condition. It is like to win, and so it devises different methods to do that. So in that sense, all the desires what we have, desire of anything, desire of food or desire for some item, anything that's coming from our ego mind. So if basically, in other words, if we can have a control over our thoughts, then these kind of desires will disappear automatically. Now the question is, why we need to control the desires? What's wrong with the desire? Actually, the desires, desire itself, they are not that kind of, that doesn't have that kind of impact. But out of desire, if we take any action, we say something, some thoughts, words, and actions, if has been generated out of those desires, that will have a potential to bind karma. Suppose I cheated someone. I thought I win that amount of money, and I duped somebody, and I have taken the money but didn't give whatever has been promised for. So from ego's point of view, that I won. That is a winning, because I managed to get the money and put it in my pocket. So it's my winning. So ego may be satisfied, but in the bargain, you bind karma, because you imbalance the energy equilibrium. So that is what it is called. The pleasure is temporary, karma is permanent. Means that whatever satisfaction you got in cheating people, or being selfish and accumulating something, illegally, or by duping someone, that will bind karma. So we need to settle that karmic account. If it is not settled in this life, it will go to the next life, and till it is settled, it will not leave you. That's why it is called the pleasure is temporary and karma is permanent. Like, if it is not that the person gets cheated and matters is over there, it never happens this way. So this is what it is called, the karmic trap. Karmic trap means, in persuasion of our desire, what we want, we may have done or said something, or harm someone, or use some unfair practices, that will come back to us. We need to settle that. Unless and until all karmic accounts are settled, we cannot get liberated. So we need to work on that to do that. So that is what it is called, the karmic traps, because the desires, they lure us into something. Maybe we get a temporary satisfaction. Suppose I wanted to I get some kind of award. So I have bribed someone to be, push my name, and finally I got that award. So maybe in the eyes of the world, I said, my mission is successful, I got the award. But the means you have used to get that, you bind karma. You need to settle that, so that will come back to you. So in that sense, that if there is a desire, in the process of meeting the desire, if you harm someone, if you do something which is not normal or not disturbing, in the process you disturb someone else's peace of mind, or do any kind of harm, then that definitely binds karma, and you need to get it settled. So far, whatever we are discussing here, that our desires are a direct byproduct of our ego mind. Ego, there is some saying, or I want it hook or by crook. Both this hook and crook business binds karma. There's nothing wrong in wanting something, but if you can leave it there, you can wait till you get that, or if it comes to you, then you receive it, that's fine. But if you chase that and then you make somebody down and somehow, make somebody to fall down and you go and get it, then you are in the territory of binding karma. So this is, it can be very clearly understood that it will bind karma, and then we have to have another round how to settle it. So how to go about it? This is next step is about that, how you should approach this. How do you live? Because anything in all our practical life, we need to have something, some desire or other, and you cannot get out of it. So the key is here is awareness. Just be aware that what kind of actions and what kind of actions or thoughts or words you are using in the process of satisfying the desire, which may create some karma. If you are aware, then from the start with, you will not develop karma. Means you will be having whatever you need. You are just looking for that, and do these things honestly, whatever your effort and things like that, and you get it. If you don't get it, you have to accept that as well. Means you are not meant for that. So you have to take it that way. If you cannot, then there is a possibility that you have to fall in under this karmic trap. So all of us have about 500 to 700 human births already, and I have just seen my past births. And if you look at your past births, then you will see a typical pattern. Pattern is like this: like under some desire, we take birth. Okay, some desire, maybe I wanted to lead a rich life, so you will get a rich life. But maybe some other area we don't get. Normally 3 areas our karma works: award, reward, or punishment. Both we get in these 3 areas. What are those 3 areas? One is health related, your health. Secondly, the money matters, monetary matters, property or anything, your profession, where you earn money, or business, on that related. And third is your relationships. So whether it is a reward or it is a punishment, I'm just using the words rewards and punishment, but in the higher level, there is no such thing, reward and punishment. If you imbalance it in any side, it has to be equal and opposite to get it balanced. That's all. So if you have done some good karma, then you will reap good benefit. You will enjoy the good experiences. But if you have done something bad, then every experience will also be bad to neutralize that. So what I was talking about, that under certain desire, if it is not fulfilled in that life, it will pass on to the next life. Suppose I wanted to marry someone, it didn't happen. That desire will make us, both of us, to have another life where we need to get married, to settle that desire. Suppose we want a certain kind of house. We didn't get it in one life. We need a bigger house. For that house, you have to come again.
Guruji, in case of marriage, sorry for interrupting, it is only I am interested in marrying that other person. But that other person, if is not interested, why that person should take birth again?
No, because it is your karma. No.
Anji.
It is your karma. So you are to satisfy, you will take birth. Maybe you will fail again. That doesn't matter. But you will definitely take birth. Okay.
But I was saying that, Guruji, why the other person has to take birth again as a lady or a girl? Because it is my desire. Because
no,
of
it is
my
your desire,
universe,
but you are connected to that other soul, no?
It is because universe will make that happen.
Yeah. No, it will make that happen. Okay, but how it will play out, it will be about the other person's karma. It is her karma.
Hanji.
Okay, maybe marriage may materialize, but it will, lead into a divorce, after a few days or maybe 2 weeks. That's a different story. Okay. You got my point?
Hanji.
Yeah. So it is, otherwise it will wait till some situation comes. It may be 5, 10 lifetimes later. I'm not saying immediately next birth.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me finish that thing, whatever I'm saying. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Shaival. So let me finish first this understanding part of it. So what happens is, one desire, we took birth to satisfy that. But while running that life, we have another desire, which was not in the original plan. We bind a new one. So that earlier desire is satisfied, but as I have more desires, so I have to come again. And this particular pattern, it is called karmic trap, like a debt trap. No, people have a habit of borrowing money. So take one and give it to somebody and borrow again and give it to that, and they keep borrowing and they're never able to finish everything. So this is called karmic trap. So people fall into the karmic trap and keep on taking birth without any having any advancements towards liberation. They fall into this kind of trap. That is called karmic trap. That's what I'm talking about. And desires is the main reason for that. All kinds of desires, all kind of pleasure of 5 senses, this kind of desires we have and fall into the trap. One desire is satisfied, then another one is get popped up. So you continue with other lives with that one. That is what is called punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. We'll keep on taking death and birth, many, many lifetimes only for these karmic reasons, because we could not, overcome the desire, and that desire makes us to come back again. Yes, Shaival, go ahead.
Yeah, so Rajdeep, I think Hariom's question I'm following. I know that it's not he or she in this life and next life because the sex changes and all. But in the soul, if somebody has a desire for a relationship with someone, and it could be even to the extent of an infatuation, the other person doesn't even bother. So why that other person has to be born again?
No, if other person is liberated, then it will not happen.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So then it will settle in other ways. But if the other person, normally it doesn't happen that way.
Oh.
Okay. So it is you are infatuated or whatever it is, but you didn't marry in that life, or it didn't come to a conclusion.
Okay.
So similar situation will develop for that to settle.
I see. Okay.
Okay, souls gets opportunity to get it settled in that way. But it doesn't happen in the soul level. Okay, इस जन्म में नहीं हुआ तो मरने के बाद करेंगे. It's not like that. You have to come back here because the desire generated here. In soul level, there is no desire.
I see. Okay.
It's soul level, it's all intention. There is no desire.
That was my question. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so this is what it happens, and whatever normally we, our close relatives, like father, mother, spouse, children, we have some karmic connection. Otherwise we normally don't take birth as a close relatives. And these are all settled in the, before we take birth, in the soul level, these are all decided. So it comes to play with that one. Okay, so that's the agreement. Like in Hari Om's question, this at soul level, you are desperately looking to marry someone. It didn't happen because of whatsoever be the reason. So then the other soul also said, okay, fine, you are, you are tying it. I was not interested, but you are saying like that. Okay, fine, we will, some life we'll give it a shot. Okay. Just maybe out of compassion, they can have that life. That is that is not a problem. So, but it is your desire which brings it back. So it is not about somebody else. If they may agree on them and may not agree. And if it is not agree, your karma will still be open. You will keep taking birth in the, in the wish of having something to materialize, and it will not happen. That is also possible. But anyway, so this is how that our desires lead us to karma, and we may fall into the karmic traps, and we take birth again and again to have that is done. And also in the similar way, some people ask me that if there is no desire, how we can lead, like how we can get married, how we can live a family life and all those kind of things. To have that's what I just explained a little earlier. To have a family life or something, to whom you get married, it is already decided. Okay, it is not about your desire to get married that makes it happen in this life. Okay, these are all settled earlier, which is plan. I am talking about the desires which are not in the plan. Those will bind additional karma, what you need to settle. So now I will be going into that, how to deal with it spiritually. What is the spiritual wisdom on this matter? See, this, if we, most of the time people do this, the desire, they, follow their desire unknowingly that this may bind some karma. To save yourself to binding the karma, simply you need the awareness. Because this is called kriyaman karma. What you are doing now, action you are taking now, that you will get a result in future. That's called kriyaman karma. The antidote of kriyaman karma is simply being awareness. All the spiritual masters, they're fully aware, 24/7. They don't bind any new karma. At the process of enlightenment, all karmic accounts are closed. Only they get liberated after that. If there is still some karmic accounts are balanced, they could not, it's not possible. So after that happens, they're aware. It is called zero karma actions. Like there is no karma. Whatever action they take is from zero karma. How it is possible that they can have a zero karma? Simply, listen this part very carefully, simply leave that operating level from mind to soul level. As simple as that. Anything coming from the soul level cannot bind karma, because soul knows everything. Your past, present, of course, and future. If you are under soul's guidance, you will not bind karma. It will be karma-free actions. And if you allow your mind and ego to take control, most likely you will do some action and take something follow some certain kind of desires, and then you landed up into generating karma, which again need to be settled. So in that case, in soul level, how then things happen? The things happen by pure intention. Okay, so suppose you want a bigger house. Yeah, you no need to scheme things and go there and falsify people and try to manage something, go beyond your means to get all those things. There is no need. Keep the intention and release it to the universe. No need to manipulate people, manipulate system, or take some kind of loan from here and then disappear and try to manage. No need. All this you will bind karma. Pure intention, and then you wait for the divine time for that manifestation. You need to have that full faith into that divine things to make it happen for you. And Shirdi Sai Baba used to say Shraddha and Saburi, like patience. Any kind of not waiting, I need it right now, it coming from ego. Okay. And most of the time you spoil it just by rushing it too much faster and all those things. Okay, you want something, okay, leave that intention and wait for that. It can happen, it maybe happen after 2 weeks or 2 years or 10 years, doesn't matter, it will happen. So we have to come to that level of spiritual maturity so that you can co-create your reality. Why co-create? Who is Who is the other one? One is your soul consciousness, another is a universal consciousness, the original creator who created the physical universe. Then our soul, along with the universal consciousness, create the reality for you. It is at the energy level, you have to give this intention and that energy, this is what is needed, and that's how the things are manifested. And masters, they go beyond that. They don't even ask for themselves, they automatically get it. How they get it? Because they align themselves with the divinity. Whatever divine wants for the humanity, they become part of that. Being part of that, whatever they need, whatever their intention is, automatically get fulfilled. They need not to ask separately for that. And as they are always in the surrender mode, every thought, word, and actions which are binding karma are surrendered. I shared every morning when I get up, I surrender these 3 things: thoughts, words, and actions to the lotus feet of Babaji. And I pray to Mataji, kindly guide me. It is not that Mataji wants that to happen. She is demanding it. No, it's for me. If I surrender these 3 things which may bind karma, I will be liberated. I will not bind any karma. I will be guided. So it is just I'm giving you some kind of operating level. It is not logical, by the way. If you say how that will happen, explain it to me. I'm not convinced. You need not to be convinced. I will not convince you. When you experience, you will know it. Otherwise, there is no point, because these are not logical. So these things, why things are surrendered? Because if everything is yours, then there is nothing left with me. The entity of Rajdip has gone long back. So who is asking I need it? Who is that I? No one is there. There's no one is existing. It is all yours. So if any, what is called pleasure experience come, that is also yours. If it is painful experience come, that is also yours. Only thing, just live in that moment by moment living. And that moment is complete by itself. It doesn't require anything. Whatever you need, it will come to you. That inner knowing is there. It will come to. We need not to worry and you have to doubt seriously it will come or not come. If, because the Creator knows everything, even all your, how much pressure your heart will give to the blood vessels to pump your blood, it is all decided. how each and every cell, how it will be formed, how it will act, what will be their qualities, all is decided. What will be your characteristic, the DNA coding, all are decided. And don't you think they cannot run your simple life? It doesn't matter at all. It's like this, Only thing you have to hand it over, that operating level from your mind to that, your soul consciousness, your higher self, who knows it, your inner guru. Because otherwise they will not interfere. If you don't hand over, they will not come and demand it. No, never. You have a free will contract. You have to hand it over. So that's why thoughts, words, and actions in the beginning of the day, it is surrendered. So there is nothing left for me to have a desire. So that I is not there who is pursuing a desire. So that is the key. Being in the awareness, and if you living a life with a soul consciousness, then you will not bind any karma. Because at soul level, there is no karma. Karma is all in the level of that three-dimensional reality. In the duality consciousness, there is a karma. So when you have that connection, broadband connection 24/7, you will not bind any karma. You live every moment of your life with awareness. And that in the light of awareness, all these kind of desires and all will run away. What will remain is pure intention. If you want to something, you can create it for you without going into the scheming and cheating and dodging others, promising something, not giving, and all this kind of stuff. There's no need. So that's how we live our so-called karma-free life, liberated life. So that is what it is. Holistic living is all about. So, okay, that's it for this. Okay, one more point. I just mentioned that desires coming from ego, all desires coming from ego, but there is one exception, big exception, that I must tell you that. What is that exception? The desire to get enlightened, spiritually enlightened, does not come from our ego. That is the only desire which does not come from our ego. Why? Because enlightenment process is the process of annihilation of the ego. The ego will be killed or become dead in the process of enlightenment. So ego cannot desire its own death. So that is why, that is the only desire to get enlightened, to grow spiritually and ultimately get enlightened, this particular desire, your intuitive voice is telling, which is your some kind of soul's message system. They give you something, this enough of these things. Yeah, just work something to get out of this, all this circle of birth and death. Just do something, at least start working on something. When you start working, things will happen. Somebody will appear, they will show you, they will teach you, but you have to knock the door. Without you willingly knocking the door, you will keep on going into those kind of lives that the purpose of the life is eat, drink, and be merry. Merry means Merry Christmas, be happy. If you see our lives, maybe several hundreds of that kind of life you have already spent without any progress on that towards human being to spiritual being. Why we need to be spiritual being? Because that is the only way out from this three-dimensional reality. Otherwise, we'll keep coming to this earth. When we become spiritual being, we can again come, but as a visitor. You don't have to. There is no karma left. You can come and visit with our friends and things like that and have a good time and go like a visitor. So anyway, so that is what it is, that all desires coming from our ego mind except the desire to get enlightened. So enlightenment is not what ego generates, and the desire comes from that. So that is the only exception. So, all right. So this is about that learning session. Today, if you have any question, you can unmute and ask the questions.
Guruji, two, three things. Firstly, you have explained about the desire. Now, you have some desire when we were children, we had some desires. When we became young, we had other desires. Now, desires are different. Now,
Yeah.
which one of these desires is going to lead to the next birth or future birth? How will we come to know that this was the deepest desire? Is there any deepest desire, or is it every desire? Which desire will lead to the next birth?
That is a good question. Those desires which you will carry till your death, that is the cause of your rebirth.
Okay.
Okay. If some desire has happened and evaporated,
Okay.
it didn't pass through, it's okay. Unless until out of that desire you have harmed someone, then you bind karma already. The debit account has been created. Okay. But if you have not taken any action, then it dies automatically, you don't have to bother. But if you carry till your death,
Okay.
some of the desire, unfulfilled desire rather, then that will be the cause for you to come again.
Okay. Second question is, what is the difference between desire and prayer? When you are praying also, we are asking something,
Yeah.
and even desire is also the same thing.
Yeah.
You are asking
Similar.
something. So, is
Yeah.
there any difference, and how to convert your desire into a prayer?
Okay. No, that is a good one. See, the desires are those where out of that ego has injected something. Okay, now you are working towards it with your thoughts, words, and action to make it materialize.
Correct.
This is your desire.
Hanji.
Whether it happened or not happened doesn't matter, but you are actively working.
Hanji.
But something came to you, you want something, and then you have not taken any action or something, you have not done any kind of interaction with others. You are simply forwarded to divine and praying. So in this case, you will not bind any karma. Okay, so you want something this is actually called intention. The intention of you intend something.
Like, I just a small example, like my father is
Yeah.
not well, and we have done in our thoughts, words, and action. We have taken him to hospital. We have got him medicines. To karma we are doing. So desire to hai that he should recover fast.
No,
So,
no. What you are doing is called karma yoga, not karma.
okay.
Okay, you are doing your duty. Okay, that is different than having some desire for something.
Okay.
Your intention is your father should get well as soon as possible. For that, whatever you are doing, that is your duty you are doing.
Okay.
To the best of your knowledge, ability, and experience, and your capacity. That's what you are doing, and that is fine. This is called karma yoga. Okay.
Okay. And
This is your karma yoga.
last
Yeah.
thing, like now you have said that except one desire of spiritual enlightenment, rest all will likely to bind karma. Now it
Yeah.
is very easy to use the word that get into desirelessness mode.
Mhm.
But how to actually become desireless, उसका थोड़ा बताइए गुरुजी.
Yeah. See, actually become desireless will be that time when your expectation becomes zero. Ma phale shu karna chana. If you come back to that, then you are fine.
Okay.
If you are detached from the results, then you are not into the category when you bind karma. Okay, there is nothing wrong that you want something. It's okay. And you prayed for it, and you are, you are waiting that when it will come, the divine grace will happen, you will get it. Or you have taken action as per the normal, way. Like you have planned something, you are saving some, you have a bigger house, you are saving money to have a house. It's perfectly fine. But in persuasion of your desire, if you take some kind of actions which will imbalance the equation of that energy, then that only will bind karma.
Okay.
Okay.
Now
So that is the difference between you want something, or if desire, even that simply wanting something is not itself will not bind karma. But the path you took will bind karma.
Okay. Last question, Guruji. In your dreams, if you do something bad for somebody, not even in the waking state, now
Yeah.
will that lead to binding of karma?
No. The entity in
Because
your
it
dream will
happens.
bind karma, maybe, but not you.
It happens
Yeah.
that sometimes you feel you had a dream and you are doing something bad for somebody.
Yeah. No, you will not. You will not get. So whoever is in the dream, that entity, they may get that in the dream domain. They may get something, but not you.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Okay, it's a different domain. It will not happen here. It is not interchangeable.
Sorry, Guruji, I have got a lot of queries, so I keep asking you, taking
Please
others'
go
time
ahead. No
also.
problem. No problem. You just yes, because
In continuation of Mr. Hariom's last query of dreams, if we get hurt in dream, we fall down, we get meet with an accident or something, that will reduce our some results of karma.
no, they are mutually exclusive. You cannot settle physical dimension karma into your dream. Okay, it is not possible.
But that kind of fear or that kind of pain we realize in that time during that dream.
Yes, but that will not reduce your this dimension karma. No, there is a different dimension altogether. It will remain in there, and whatever your physical dimension will remain separate. They will not mix. Even the two persons, somebody has cheated you. You have given some maybe 10,000 rupees, he didn't return. You borrowed 10,000 rupees from somebody else and you didn't return. If you think these two balances, it will not. You have a separate account with this. So even in this dimension, if you have a two transaction, they will settle independently. Whatever good you have done, you will get a good, reward for that. Whatever bad you have done some punishment for that independently. Basically, I am saying it will not balance each other. Karmic account doesn't work that way.
Guruji.
Yes, Vasan.
Guruji.
It's funny.
Pritiji, I'll come to you. Pritiji, I'll come to you. Yes, Vasan.
There's a third question on that same Hari Om thing. Guruji mentioned in one of the thing that when you get enlightened, the life that we're living, the way it looks like a dream to us.
Yes.
That's why it's a rebirth. Rajdeep Bhai, then when you get enlightened and you went through a certain journey when you were not enlightened, how does the karma play? You said the karma bija exhausted, but how is there a carryover that happens and you have to still experience a few things as a result of previous actions?
No, it happens this way, Vasant. It's a good question. So there are two things. The fundamental understanding of this, one is your soul's plan. It will happen no matter you are enlightened or not. Okay. Another one is your karmic action and reaction, the karmic account. These two runs in parallel. When we take birth, our soul's plan runs as well as karmic thing runs. We can generate, reduce, or increase the karmic thing, but soul plan still goes. Okay, that is how it works. Okay. Now, so far as karmic account is concerned, before enlightenment, what happens is you will feel automatically, you will be working towards closing those accounts. You will give your effort. If I look back in my previous life, all activities, not everything pleasant, but whatever happened, I can now look back and see those are actually karmic closing account. Whatever balance was there, it was settled. Somebody, I have borrowed some money, I didn't return this time, that person has cheated me and finished it off. It's happened already. So all these things are settled. So when I take the conscious action not to bind any new thing and try to close the old thing, even at the cost of myself being suffering, then slowly the account gets closed. At a certain level, you cannot, it is true, you cannot close all the accounts. It's not possible because so many hundreds of lifetimes of karma, it's not possible to close it in one. But if you be fully concentrating on that karma yoga, that is the starting point. You need to be a good person to be eligible for so-called your further journey, spiritual journey. A cheat and a crooked person can never come to a stage when they can just like that enlighten. Not possible. If you're doing your duty, simple duty, I'm not saying you have to be dramatic. Simple duty, taking care of your family, earning, honestly, or something of that sort. You wanted to donate something, help people, and all in the thing. One point of time will come when this karma yoga phase will be almost over. Then somebody will appear in your life. I think the last week or week before I explained the sequence, how it happens. You will be guided from there. So what happens is, but still you have a lot of karmic baggage. It's not possible. You are meditating, you are roasting the karma bij, you are taking good action, you are not binding any new karma, that is all fine. But it is not possible to dissolve or close all the accounts. It's not possible. So what happens is when you take your 100% effort, at least I start and give this effort, one point of time, divine grace happens. Then the rest of your karma will be taken off. In my case, Babaji lifted the rest of the karma and then you get enlightened. That is why whomsoever has undergone the process of enlightenment, they know that enlightenment has not happened by their own quality or action they took and how many hours they meditated and how many good jobs they have done. It has happened only because of Guru Kripa. Otherwise, it is not possible. Where is this Guru Kripa coming into the picture? Lifting those burning. Good Prem Nirmalji says, comes to a matchstick and godowns of karma get burned instantly. That thing, that process is Guru Kripa. When that happens, suddenly you got, open and that you got liberated. That's how the process is all about. So during that process of enlightenment, whatever is there in the godown all gets burnt off. Okay, what remains is your soul's plan. Okay, you may still can undergo certain things which is there in your soul's plan. You will experience that. And rest of the life you are living in the awareness because you experienced it and now your past lives are open to you. As a part of the enlightenment process, the gift is given. One of the gift is your soul's journey opens up. You know all your past lives, what is going to future you know. So why unnecessarily you bother yourself to come into the karmic trap again? Okay, this time I am aware, I am not going in to do some kind of extramarital affair and take another lifetime for that. Why? You got my point. I'm just giving a very crude example. Because I know in the past life experiences what happened. Now I got an opportunity, I am aware, I will not do any kind or cheat somebody. I will take money, don't return. I will not do that because those again will drag me back to this karma. So that is how it plays. So after post-enlightenment, only what is there in your soul's plan or what divine wants you to undergo, that will happen. Not because of karma. By the way, that remind me about something. I was having question answer with Babaji. I asked a lot of questions. This is one of them. It is given in the Facebook also. Some of the Facebook message, old message, Rishi Pragyananda Nubhuti, there was some message. Communication Babaji is also there. One of the thing I asked Babaji, what happens to the karma after they got burned? वो जाते किधर है? इतने सारे karma ना, so many lifetimes of karma. After burning, where it goes? It doesn't come back to the people who got enlightened. That's correct. But where, after burning, where it goes? Babaji smiled and said, what do you think the ashes on Shiva represent for? You know, Bom Bole Shiva, ashes, na? He has ashes all over. You call Vibhuti or whatever you call it. Those are the ashes coming from the burnt karma of humanity. That's what he has given me answer. Anyway, so that was my inquisitiveness कि कर्मा तो वो जल गया कि जल के जाते किधर है? Where that goes? But that was the answer. Okay.
Thank you,
So that Mahadev, the Nilkant takes that. All your karma, all so-called bad karma, कितने सारे पापों का बोझ वो ले लेते हैं. At the time of enlightenment, he drinks that poison. Okay. So it is symbolic. I'm saying energetically, but that's what it means. Okay. Preeti ji, you are asking for Basant. You got your answer?
Yes, thank you, Rajiv Bhai.
All right. Okay. Preeti ji, what was your question?
Yes, thank you, Guruji. I don't think I can ask this in the group, like it's my personal.
Okay.
Let's say, you got few plots, vacant plots to be sold. And this from our fathers or forefathers. So the intention of, now we have to sell it. The intention of selling it, will that bind any karma? Because it's meant for sale. Because after this, there's nobody else to take over. We have to divide it. No,
it doesn't bind karma unless until you don't cheat anyone.
We are not cheating. We are not able to sell it only. We are not.
See,
yeah.
Let me give you another side of it. See, anything related to money is not karma. Okay. We need money. Okay. The Guruji Prem Nirmal, he insists on that all sannyasis, they brainwashed us. That think that anything related to money, they become a bigger mentality. We are not walking that path. We are walking the enlightened billionaire, Aishwaryavan Muktatma. Okay, money is needed. Only whatever we are preaching is, it should be fair. Okay, you are not getting money to cheating someone or threatening someone or somehow damaging making any harm to anyone. That's all. Otherwise,
we can work on that, selling the thing.
Of course, yes, sure. Yeah.
No, because it is written in their names, will it bind any karma to us? It's not given.
No. But if you are legitimate owner of that land now, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. You can sell. That's fine. Don't bother. Okay.
No bother, no. Okay.
Yeah, you go into the fair deal and then sell it off. It's fine. Or sell it to the highest bidder. It's all fine.
Okay. Any way, solutions to make it fast, speedy selling or something?
That I have no idea. That you have to use the available tools, give advertisements and things like that. So that I cannot guide you on that one.
We are also senior. We want to finish it off and give it off because we'll be blamed otherwise. We are not giving.
You can.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
You give advertisements or something, and I think it will be done. No issues.
Okay. Thank you, Baba.
I'm just telling you some time. From January was the worst time. February it is a recovery time. I already told during my New Year message. From March, very good time is coming. So most likely you will get some deal in month of March. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm
all right.
That.
Dadava, I have a question.
Yes, Sujata.
Dadava means when my father died, as you remember, like he wanted to go back to Guwahati, but somehow he couldn't go, and he died here in Kolkata. And means I even talked to you that I had a guilt feeling that I couldn't take him back. Then means, when you told that no, just pray that gets free from all this pain and he's liberated. So does that also bind karma for me as well as my father? That means I have a guilt consciousness that I couldn't take him back to Guwahati. Will that lead to a karma for him?
No. See, simply going is not. Okay?
Okay.
Because at soul level, you can go instantly at any time, anywhere. So simply going is not an issue. Okay? So that's not an issue. So far as your guilty feeling is concerned, let me tell you, normally in this kind of question, when it comes, then I normally give some kind of understanding. I call it a hammering. Hammering is, who are you to think that because of you he could not go or something?
Yeah.
You have no power. You planned something, it didn't happen. It's okay. Take it easy. Okay. You are nobody to make it happen or not to make it happen. You don't have any power.
Okay.
Don't unnecessarily feel guilty.
Okay.
Your intention was right. In between, the death happens. You have no control about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So just leave it there. Just pray that everything is fine. You will not bind any karma for that.
Okay. Thank you, Dadabhai.
Okay. All right. God bless you. Yes, Shaival. Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. So now, what you said about Shiva's ashes, right? It's a profound thing. It's very difficult to interpret because I have made fun of, in my earlier thing, I have made fun of things. For example, the Christians, I've written somewhere also, perhaps I put it in some, in some of the forums also, that Christians say that Jesus died on the cross and took away all the sins from us, right? That's the same interpretation, perhaps, right? But in the religious terms, it's said, and people are taking literally as if Jesus died and took away all the sins, so no sin will come on us. That was an interpretation by one of my colleagues almost told me. So I said, okay, how can Jesus take away all your sins and then you are liberated, right? But that's a profound thing, right? Because what you just said, it's religious, kind of a way of presenting in simplistic terms to people, but grasp that thought, how it happens in enlightenment, post-enlightenment, where the karma goes. That's what I was trying to connect the two, that the ashes on Shiva's and Nilkant, he's taken all the poison and put it on his throat. That's a profound statement. I think through religion, it's difficult to understand from religious perspective.
Okay, I understand, but let me give you one perspective. You ask that person, which side are you? You are giving the poison or receiving the poison?
Yeah.
See, Jesus might have taken, but you should be part of the Jesus to receive the poison from others as well.
That's
yeah. Otherwise, if you are a giver, you think your poison will be taken by Jesus. This is complete misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Whoever that the spiritual masters, they align themselves with the divinity. They become the employed by so-called Lord Shiva. They take poison from people. They become representative of Shiva so that they can absorb the pain and suffering of the people and they get liberated themselves. It is not about the beneficiary side that you become a divinity comes. When you join the other side, your karma get over. So then that does not mean that you just run away from there. You become more responsible. Now, divine has helped you to come out to this level where you join to the other side to do the similar thing for the other people. Okay, so that is what the holistic approach is coming. Otherwise, we are still in that phase that, okay, unhone le liya, chalo, acha hai. I will do more sin, and Jesus is already taken. So, future credit card bhi unhone le liya, no problem. It's not that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where people bind karma. It is not Jesus who can lift that.
So if you listen to a lot of preachers in the church, even, I'm not picking on a particular religion, they will, I mean, perhaps their intention is saying, you don't worry, Jesus has taken all the sins for us and all that. But people can literally take it as if my sins has already been taken. So, I mean, I can do whatever I want because Jesus. That was the interpretation perhaps from one of my colleagues. And I raised the question, how can it be possible? Right? So,
yeah. So now you show that you are worthy of Jesus' grace. You play the role to take other sin.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, otherwise it is incomplete. Your journey has not completed.
That's
you are not truly follower of Jesus. In that sense, any master. When you able to receive from others without expecting anything in return, then you have developed that godly qualities.
That's right. Yeah. So that's a profound statement. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. No, that yes, Basan.
Rajdeep bhai, this is based on what you just shared, and you made a very profound comment that Babaji or divinity takes away the karma.
Yeah.
So the question is relating the attitude during the meditation. I'll tell you what I do, and now that you've said it, and I'm trying to shift it, but help me get to that spot then. So when I typically sit, so I try to focus saying, look, create a discipline, do it in the morning because you have responsibilities you can't do in the evening and all that good stuff. Sometime it happens, sometime it doesn't happen, right? So the irritation comes in, but it's the doing, it's Basant doing. It's not the happening. And now suddenly what you just said is, even this doing doesn't do anything because as you just mentioned, the Basant is worthless to do anything. It has to be done by someone else. So I just wanted you to give a little different perspective because I think it's a shift in my mind that it's just challenging me in that sense. So how do you interpret that? And what do you feel is the quality and the attitude before you sit for your dhyan and sadhana?
Yeah, see what I explained to Saibal about those guys. Basically, this is not the path of the smart people. The reason is that because you never go to the other side and take it. You are smart enough to justify something, how I can do sin and somebody will take it. Whoever, Jesus, Buddha, whoever it is. See, for your question, I like to remind you, I also said, this divine grace will not happen unless until you give your 100%.
Understand.
No smartness. No chalbazi we can accept here. The divine knows everything. You know that I have done 500 lifetimes of karma. It is revealed to you. I mean, slowly you will come to know. It will take maybe 100 more births to get all those things by meditation. If you do nothing, just meditate, it will take 100 births. From your inside, you have to surrender and say, okay, I'm ready to start that 100 now. I give my 100%. I understood what I suffered. If you don't give 100%, okay, what is the point in learning? There is no end of learning. People make a joke. No? There is no end to learning. So what is the point in learning? That is a smart chalbaji nahi chalega. Okay, you have to truly give your 100%. You start that step. If you don't make that one step, the 99 step, the divine will come to meet you there. But if you don't take that first step, nothing will happen. Give your 100% effort. You said, I understood. I'm ready. Whatever karma is in my account, I'm ready to meditate and, burn it off. I'll try. Then you never know. They cannot be defined. If I cannot say that when it will happen, it can happen tomorrow. Okay. Or maybe after 2 years, I don't know. That is divine grace. But you have to give 100%. Any kind of thing, any other kind of smartness will be counterproductive. Let me tell you this way. So that is the phase. If you read the spiritual life journey, one phase comes when you meditate. वो पागल है क्या? Meditate करेगा बैठे बैठे. The reason is you are ready to burn all those things. You understood those are the blocks. Because of that, I am not getting liberated. वो meditation क्रिया अपने जगह पे ठीक है. Okay, that is just to get ready. But unless until your karma burden is lifted, you will not get liberated. Okay, you consciously are doing it, then the divine grace will happen. That's why it is a gift. It cannot be achieved. Whoever has undergone this enlightened process, they know it. It's only Guru Kripa can make it happen. It is not in my personal capacity. I could have been done that. That is the right understanding. So best strategy is just, to the best of your ability, knowledge and understanding, keep doing, keep giving your 100%. It will happen for sure. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
All right.
Guruji, I have one small question.
Yes, Vani, go ahead.
If somebody has done some bad things or like taken money from somebody unknowingly, and then later on in life, if they start donating or understand that they did something wrong, does it nullify the karma? Or?
No, it depends to whom they are giving. It has to go to the same source. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it cannot be. That's what I was telling, that otherwise it will be two parallel accounts, one debit, one credit.
Oh, okay.
Each will settle independently. They are mutually exclusive. One cannot think other. See, many times I get some kind of people contact me personally saying, I have, sometime earlier, maybe 10 years back, I said to that person, some relative, bad words. Now I repent that. How I can get rid of that thing. Is it my prayer and all these things? If I pray to Babaji every day, that will be settled? I said, no, that will not be settled. What you need to do, you have to make amend to that person, that same person. You have to ask for forgiveness from the same person. If he is living, if it is a non-living, through prayer, if he left his or her body. Okay, I'm saying only to ask forgiveness, not to get forgiveness. Maybe after you call 10 years after that and say, I'm sorry, so-and-so time, and in the year 2004, I told you some bad words, I'm sorry for that. That's all you have to say. Let the other person say, I never remember any such thing, or it doesn't matter, it's good you spoke to me. Yeah. So, you can get some extreme reaction. I will never forgive you in the rest of my life. Don't ever dare to talk to me. It doesn't matter what the other person's reaction is. Your job is done. It is called making amends. See, these things are in our energy accounts, how it works. When you have asked forgiveness, or we call it making amends, then it goes out from your system. So what is bothering you will go. Then you have to work on to get liberated further beyond that. Okay, after that, you need not to keep in touch with that person. It's all fine. But your job is done. Okay, so it works that way. No matter how many charity you do, how many 10 more people you have done, you treated them nicely and all, it doesn't matter. It has to go to the same source. To whom you have actually have done it, it has to be settled there. Ask forgiveness and settle it. Very easy. Okay, but most of the time people find out how I can call, he doesn't have a telephone, he is not available. These are all mind is telling because you don't want to. Okay. You think it is an embarrassing situation, and more you do that, any kind of smartness you show it in this area, that balance karma will not be settled. Okay, better to call directly and settle it. No matter what reaction comes, it's okay. If the person shouted at you, just listen. That's okay. All right. Okay, Vani?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask that because some of these big industrialists, they avoid the taxes and then they donate the money to some organizations and all that.
Yeah.
So,
No, that will not work that way. Okay. Somebody thinks if you take bath in Ganges, it will go away. All nonsense. Okay.
Then perhaps Robin Hood would have been enlightened, right? He robbed people and donated, right? So he's the most enlightened person then, right?
So it doesn't work that way. वो पाप करे और गंगा नहाए. There is a song there, no? It is not. It doesn't work that way. It's all nonsense. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay then.